Hey guys, Yulia here. So today I'm going to be talking about how to divide your perennials. And there are a number of reasons why you would want to divide your perennials, but generally most perennials should be divided every 3 to 4 years depending on the species. You can also think about dividing your perennials when they're starting to look really tired and crowded. They're kind of going to tell you when they needed divisions. And then another reason is when you want to maybe give a clump to your friend or exchange some plants with somebody else. That is a good reason to divide your perennials as well. When can you divide your perennials? So you can divide your perennials both in the spring and in the fall. So in the spring, when your perennials first start to emerge and they're clearly visible, you can dig them up, make divisions or clumps, and then put them back in the soil. Now in the fall, the divisions are a little bit trickier, but also a great time to divide your perennials. So the trick is for your new divisions to have sufficient time to root before the frost. So you have to find the time in your climate when it's cool enough for your new divisions to kind of acclimate to new space, but also warm enough without frost for them to root. So in my zone, which is 6, end of summer, end of August or beginning of September is a great time to divide perennials because I still have a month and a half before our real frost sets in for all these cuttings and divisions to root. So today I will be dividing number of perennials and I will show you how I do it and which tools I use. Alright, I think you recognize the area from my previous video where I just revamped this whole space, but what I'm going to do today, I'm going to dig up this hosta here. It is starting to get really crowded, I could tell, and there's Luke. Hey buddy. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this Hakenochloa right here and put a clump of it right here to kind of even out the space a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and dig out this hosta first. Just go around the plant about 8 inches from the crown, the middle crown, and then it's kind of caught up on the other side. Let's see. Okay. Love using bins for transport. This first plant here. All right, now Hakenochloa. Same. Give sufficient space around the root ball. This one is easy. So I set up this operation table with a tarp on, so it's easier for you to see how I divide my plants. And I have this lovely Hakenochloa grass, which is the only grass that I divide in the fall, because all the rest of the grasses get absolutely humongous and they're very hard to handle. So I actually divide my grasses early in the spring when I prune them back. So let me show you the tools that I use for divisions, and they really vary and they depend on how tough your perennial is. Grasses in general are very tough. They require either a saw, and this is my old, like a wood saw, and I've been using this one for dividing grasses for like 10 years because you'd be surprised how hard they are. They're almost like consistency of wood. You can also use an old knife, and it has to be serrated knife. Serrated knives I find much easier to use. Obviously be careful when you're using sharp objects. Sometimes all you need is a trowel if it's a soft rooted perennial, and then landscape knife. I love this thing. I bought this on Leonard.com. It's Leonard Tools, and I use it all the time. It has very strong blade, really tough tool, very versatile. You can use it in many different situations like weeding, dividing, aerating the soil. So for this grass, I'm actually going to use this knife because I think that's going to work. And you're just going to have to experiment on your own and see what works for you. So let's see. The division sizes for your perennials really depend on what you're going to do with them. But in general, I like to divide them so they will fit in like a 1-gallon pot, so something you would buy in the store. So this one I can divide in 2 parts, so not too small. And when you start in dividing your perennials, don't divide the clumps too much because smaller divisions are harder to establish. And I would say the other tool for your perennial divisions is bravery. Bravery is like the one tool or one quality that you have to have, but trust me, it's going to get easier every time you divide it, and then you're just going to do it like a second nature. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead in the middle of the clump. I hope you can see this, and I'm just going to start cutting this. So as you can see, some of the blades will be cut off, which is fine, but whoops. But as you can see, let me show you this clump here. That's why you don't make the division so small, because you're going to lose a lot of foliage. So you can see all the new shoots right here. You see? They're all coming up. So all of that is going to grow next year, and it's just going to be so much healthier. It's a nice size clump. You see their rhizomes coming in here. Very, very healthy division, and so is this one. There's a little cleome got caught in here. But again, you see all the new rhizomes. This is going to be a beautiful plant. From 1, 2. So this is my lovely hosta plant, and as you can see, this is much tighter and clumping than the grass that I just divided. So this is going to be a little bit harder, and I'm probably going to lose some of the plants, but that's okay. This is really needs some breathing room. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the exploratory mission with my landscape knife first, and just start cutting the roots and aim for half of the plant in the middle. So this is where I'm going to start. You can also do this with your spade. Do it on the ground, but for these demonstration purposes, I just wanted you to see. All right, so there, I divided this plant in half. There we go. 1 and 2. And as you can see, you see how tight this is? I can make a lot more plants out of this. They're still very full plants. So I think I'm going to go ahead and divide this again. When you're dividing, again, it's all up to your comfort level. If you're comfortable with these clumps, they're beautiful. They will adapt to their new spot really well. They have lots of roots, healthy, lots of foliage. Just go ahead and leave it like this. I am going to go ahead and divide it again, just because I'm greedy and more adventurous. So there we go. I have 2 more plants, also very nice looking. Nice, beautiful root system. Set them aside, and I will divide this one again. This one is a little tricky. Here comes the plane. So for finer jobs like this, I like to use the serrated knife. All right, so this one is a little smaller, but you can see the leaves are smaller and the roots are smaller, but it's still a very sufficient plant right here. So there we go. We have 4 healthy divisions. All right, so here's something I bought in the store on sale. This is a bee balm, and it's a beautiful purple one. And I think this one is only 24 inches tall. So it's not looking that hot, A, and B, I think it's really tight, and I could make a lot more plants out of this clump. Now, bee balm is very easy to divide. They have very aggressive rhizomes that spread easily. So I'm just going to take it out of the pot and kind of look at it. So you see how these little guys, here, let me just lift this up. These are really, really easy to propagate. Just this part right here will be sufficient to start a new plant. So spreading perennials like this, so for example, the hosta was clumping perennial. This is more of a spreading type. Spreading types, you can't go wrong with dividing them. All right, so I'm going to put this aside, start a new plant for this. Clean up the leaves and see what I can do here. This is a very tight root system too. It's been in the pot all summer probably. All right, so again, for finer jobs like these, I would probably go ahead and use a knife or maybe a saw, because the middle is very hard. Beautiful. All right, so these 2 plants will develop into beautiful plants when I plant them. I can divide them again. You know what? I'm just going to divide this one because this one is still a little big, and I'm going to leave this one as is. Just kind of get in there. Don't be afraid. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to learn from these mistakes and get more plants as a result. So this is a beautiful division. This is the mother plant here. Tons of new growth right here. You could just plant it just like this. So I'm going to plant one of the Hakenochloa divisions right where it was originally, and the other one is across the pathway. So the good thing is that when you dug out your plant, you already have your hole pre-dug, and I always add some compost or some sort of potting soil, and how beautiful that is. And you just plant your plant in there. And I will actually mulch it too. There we go. Beautiful. The last step is to water it, and this is very important. Your divisions will establish much better and faster when you give them sufficient water. So this process pretty much works for all of the perennials that I just divided. And the only time when you can't divide your perennials like this is when they have woody stems. Woody stems require a separate video, but anything with like grassy stems or rhizomes or spreading perennials, divided the same way. This was a division from a couple of weeks ago when I was working on this area, and it's doing really well. Look at that. No wilting, nothing. Beautiful plant. So I'm going to plant the bee balm in the devil's strip that I started this spring with no dig method. And there are a couple of weeds. I think I had to weed it just once. But look at the soil. I am so proud of the soil here. It was just gray, like 100% gray when I started here. And now it's beautiful, dark, crumbly, rich soil. Earthworms abound. It is beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous soil. Look at this. So let me just lay these guys out here. Start planting. Tons of earthworms. Look at this. I mean, this soil, I just had shovel full. Look at this. I love seeing these guys. I always mulch at planting because anytime you create any sort of disturbance, seeds will come in here and start sprouting, and mulch prevents that. Also helps with water retention. So I planted hostas in the hosta bed. So these are the 3 divisions, and there's a 4th one right there. And I should probably spray for deer because I can see some damage right there. But these are looking really good. Alright guys, I hope that made sense. But before I go, I just want to say thank you to all of you who commented on my parents' garden tour video. I translated all of those comments, every single one, to them, and they were incredibly touched and just so grateful for all of you guys from all over the world and the fact that you loved their garden so much, and they're so encouraged to just keep going and just keep on gardening in those tough conditions. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, post in the comment section below as per usual, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, look at you, you're so handsome. Aw, you're so handsome.